Welcome to the High on Knowledge podcast. I am Chanel.
I'm Marushka.
And we will be your co-hosts for this episode on our entrepreneurial series. We are so excited to have our guest here today. We've got Katlego.
So he is our super South African, and I think maybe tell us some more about that. How are you super South African? What does that mean?
All right, so I'm Katlego Thulare, as a super South African as mentioned. What does that mean? I was born in the rural, bred Ekasi, and budded in the sweet suburbs of South Africa, So it kind of gives me like an all-round experience of what it means to be South African. So if I have to chase a chicken for dinner, I can do that, But obviously because I'm the light-skinned cousin, I'm not going to do any slaughtering or anything, But, and also if I have to sit on a crate, chill out there with the gents in the kasi, I can do that. And of course, if I have to chat with the Brits in the suburbs as well, I can do that, my brother.
Yeah. Seems like a well-rounded,
Very super South African, right? Yes.
Now that's awesome. And then we wanted to ask you, so you are an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Can you please take us through that journey? Where did it start? Where did it go in the middle? Where are you right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, like very humble beginnings, right? So just to give you a little bit of context, so I used to do a lot of these ISTAT and singing in school, public speaking type of stuff, right? And I used to enjoy singing a lot, and I used to kill the competitions all the time, right? So I'm kind of like a sing as well, right? But during like grade 10, 11, when I think Step Up was coming out, Stomp the Yard, everybody had a rap crew, everybody had a whatever, and I thought, you know what, let me get into doing my own shows, because I was tired of just entering the school shows. You win, the prize money goes to the school, you get a high five, get a mention in the assembly, right? And I was like, wait, let me approach my principal, so I was like, okay, let me approach my principal, see if we can do our own smaller events where then we can do some splits. She said no, of course, because they were like, which teacher's gonna be watching after you guys, rowdy kids from other schools coming through. So what I did is actually I went to the community town hall from the town that I grew up in, which is in Benoni. So I tried to book the community town hall. Booked it was like $2,900 at the time. Usually people hosted like weddings and whatever. So it was like a nice hall with like a mezzanine area and whatever. And I hosted my first independent show there, right? And there I got like kind of like that taste of entrepreneurship, and I'm like, you know what, I can make a little bit of cash while I'm in school, type of thing. And obviously those kind of started building up, started doing a little bit of small festivals, club gigs, that kind of things, and it actually kind of grew, right? Until the point where I actually hosted my first big festival called the East Rand Spring Festival, which was a major flop, right? Because, yes, I know it was supposed to sound like that moment, right? But so what happened there, obviously we booked the venue, as a young guy who's quite outspoken, I went to the municipality to book the stadium, Boksburg Stadium, and obviously I explained to them, no, listen, we're using young talent from around the neighborhood, a couple of my friends, a couple of dance crew, a couple of rap crews, whatever, and from a marketing perspective, we did such a great job because I was a little bit creative with it. I didn't have the budget, but I had a little bit of that creativity. So what I did is that I booked all the presenters from YFM, which is a youth radio station, right? And what happens on YFM is that when you have their presenters booked, they announce the gig guide to say DJ whoever is at this place. So I'm getting free radio airtime, and I'm getting free radio airtime and obviously publicity from this event and the marketing. So now we sell about 3,000 tickets, at $100. So now I'm about 21 at that time,
What?
But now what happens is the Wednesday before the event, I get called by the facilities manager of the stadium. Like, listen, this event sounds a lot bigger than what you presented. This is not a community event and a talent show. This sounds like a real festival because we're looking at the stats, the numbers, how many toilets do you have? You need to have at least 100 toilets or whatever for the amount of people. Have you let the fire department know? Have you let the local hospital know? The Metro Police, the SAPS? And I'm like, but I'm just like 20. I haven't even turned 21. Yeah, I don't know. They needed to know because I was doing when we were doing the small halls, nobody needed to know, right? Now you have to let these guys know, and they actually shut us down, right? So the event didn't happen. Now I'm sitting there
Why is that? Like, was there a reason? Just because they didn't
Yeah,
know?
because there's a process called JOC that you have to do with it's a disaster management process that you have to do when you're doing big festivals, so that the local authorities know, all the people that I mentioned. They just double check if your stage has a certificate, if there's any fire extinguishers, your plugs are not where people can trip, all that kind of stuff, And now you can imagine we're getting shut down the Friday before the event. So we had the meeting on the Wednesday. The event is on Saturday. Friday we get told, listen, it's not happening, So at that time, obviously, social media was also kind of still, Facebook was still new, because it's like still early days where you could still invite your whole Facebook list to an event and all that, Before even Facebook ads and stuff like that. So then now they're shutting us down. So it's the day before. We actually end up sleeping at the stadium, because now we're thinking like, you know what, maybe we should figure out a way to bribe that guy, or something, You gotta think of all plans. Yeah, we had to, you have to figure out, especially like as an entrepreneur, you have to try and be innovative. I'm not saying bribe people, but I'm saying at that time, the thought was like bribe the guy, right?
Yeah.
So then we speak to the guy, call him, come to the stadium. He comes the next morning. In the morning, so my stage guy is still setting up. So I haven't really accepted my fate yet, So the stage guys are still setting up. They're putting up a fence, on one side of the stadium. And then he comes through, and I'm like, yo, Timer, listen, can't we talk about it, something? Cold drink, and he's like, nah, it's not happening, No cold drink. And then that was it. And he told us that if we continue setting up, listen, he's calling like Metro Police. There was like 7 vans that rock up. You guys set up, you go into jail. Now I'm thinking like, dude, I'm too pretty to go to jail. I am too light skinned to go to jail. That was the first thing, okay, it's cool. Too much information. But anyway, So I'm like, so that was obviously my first big challenge, because now I'm standing in the middle of the stadium and I'm thinking, look, my entire dream that I've built up since I left high school is crumbling, and I'm watching this go downhill, But then I realized that what I actually enjoyed is the marketing of the events, not the actual day of the event. Because what I learned from the other events that we did was that on the day of the event, you're more worried about, hey, is there change at the gate? Especially if you are selling tickets for cash and that kind of stuff. Is there change? Somebody will ask you, yo, do you have tomato sauce for my Worstrol stand? DJ whoever is still in Rustenburg, he's supposed to be next on the lineup, on the program. You gotta tell the MC to announce, the crowd is losing their mind. Like, all that is too much stress. But the marketing of it, because you promote the event for like 6 months or so at a time, and then that's what I enjoyed, So that's what I actually realized, I've actually got a knack for the marketing vibe, and I started doing freelance copywriting and all of that, and that's obviously where I obviously got to sharpen up my pen game a little bit, And fast forward a couple years later, I obviously, like, things were starting to build up from a independent and freelance copyright perspective. I'm working on some of the biggest brands, working on scripts for adverts and all that kind of stuff, billboards, all that kind of stuff, and it's great. 2020 hits, and that becomes a reality check for all of us, and then that's where you realize where it's like, okay, look, now it's 2020, it's a lockdown, you're getting blue ticked by some of the people that you're supplying services to, and that's when, like, it kind of hit me. One of the days I'm sitting in this house that I was renting in Soshanguve, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, it's load shedding. I don't have any money. My bank balance is like 90 something. You can't even go draw it. You can't do anything about it, and I'm thinking, like, what is it that I can do, like, that I know that I'm really good at, to try and get the people that I'm trying to get in front of, like, to contact me, because I try to call people and that kind of stuff, Yet another moment for me to kind of innovate. And I started writing these stories on LinkedIn, and I write them, like, obviously they're from my perspective, but they link to popular brands that we know, because I'm in a marketing and advertising space. I linked it to that, but just giving it a little bit of like that super South African edge. One moment it's a little bit rural, one moment it's a little bit Kasi, one moment it's a little bit suburbs. And it kind of helped me build a community of people that's quite diverse, very old, very young, very black, very light, very, all different types of people, because now people could relate from different angles, And from that's where I actually just thought, like, you know what, let me actually put these stories into a book, you know, and that's how I got to actually self-publishing, which is the journey that I'm on at the moment.
And that is so cool.
Yeah, that's quite a journey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a crazy one, right?
Yeah. I mean, your entrepreneurial journey, your spirit started in high school.
Yeah.
I need to make some money. How can I do this?
Yes.
Come and sing and dance for me.
And I was tired of singing and dancing for other people. Like, you dance, you know?
You dance.
Yeah.
Hey, me.
Yeah, right.
But I love the way that you just like took things into your own hands.
Yeah.
And you just like kind of made it happen despite the circumstances and despite like even your age. I mean, that's so young.
Yeah.
Being able to sell like 3,000 tickets. I mean, that is wild.
Yeah, you can imagine the excitement like when you're looking at your CompuTicket statement, because obviously you don't get the money, you get the money after the event, right? And you're looking at your CompuTicket statement and it's like 300,000 rand, and like I'm not even 21, and I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But the flip side of that is that now when the event got cancelled, now I have to give all those people refunds. I have vendors, those chip and dip moms and what. Now they want their money back because I sold stalls and all that kind of stuff. They pre-cooked stuff because they knew we had sold 3,000 tickets pre-sale, and now I'm in the minus. Now I actually owe those people some money, you know, which is kind of like a bit crazy.
You win some, you lose some.
Hey.
It happens.
But what piece of advice would you give to entrepreneurs? I mean, just surrounding that story,
Yes.
you know, like good and the bad that happened in there. What advice could you give to someone?
Yeah, so unpopular opinion, I think the first step to starting a business is to get a job, right? You know why? Because like when you're in a formal setting, you actually understand processes, you understand, you know, how things supposed to, how to operationalize things, right? So for me in my young age, like even with the events, you know, everything lived in my mind, you know, so if anything happened to me or if I'm not around, nobody else can pick up, you know, and nobody else can make a decision. Nobody else has the bank card or the PIN either, you know what I'm saying? So it means that without you, the business cannot exist. So it almost like gives you a space where also, so that's the first benefit of having that job, right? But the second benefit is now you like when you're making an income from like that startup that you're starting, now you don't have to now take that money and now you're buying electricity, you're buying groceries with it, because now it's the same money it's the only money that you're earning, you know. So it allows you to at least like reinvest the money that you're earning from your hustle until it gets to a point where you can actually sustain yourself and actually push. So it's a very unpopular opinion, but I think that would be one of the things that I would suggest to somebody, you know. Yeah,
that's true actually, because like when you're busy working, you can actually that's like your livelihood. So you've
Yes.
got your livelihood sorted, and that's done. Because like not everyone has the privilege of going to just start their own company.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna start my own company and just do things. Like
Yes.
you don't have that privilege. So it's like quite important you like settle your livelihood first, that anything you're actually making from your entrepreneurial journey you can reinvest back into
push
yourself.
it back into
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So I think that's great, and especially like being realistic firstly,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
having a team so that someone can tell you, hey, you need to contact the fire department.
Right.
You need to contact more people.
Yeah,
You
and
can't
also-
just throw a party.
And also, if you're the smartest person in your organization as well. So you see, so in my situation there, like, so I was young and all my friends were all young, right? We all didn't know what we didn't know until it was too late, until you're sitting there sleeping at a stadium on the day before and you're thinking, oh my goodness, my dreams are shattered, you know, like everything I put, like everything I saved, my tuck money, you know, like the build up, you know, now you go from this like movement that makes you a hero to like people trash you don't want to walk outside, and those are some of the things that you have to also be ready for as an entrepreneur, you know. Like you don't want to win every day, you know, you're probably going to win like 65% of the time, so that other 35% you need to be really ready to like, you know, take it on. Like you need to really have a strong heart, you can't be too
But
soft.
I love that. I almost want to say, like, I think it's so cool that you failed the first time, because even though you failed, you persevered.
Yes.
And the thing is that a lot of people go through the same thing where they try something and it just doesn't work out, regardless of what they've done. And the fact that we can have people that inspire us, that regardless of the fact that you failed, like you can still move past that.
Yeah.
I think that's just incredible. And I think that's what we'll wrap up with for our first episode with Katlego. We'll definitely be back with another one. So thank you so much for joining us on the High on Knowledge podcast. We really appreciate you being here today, Katlego.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
And say bye.